First of all, it's a pleasure to be here at the VC version of Shtisel. That's what I think of this as. I'll just make a couple of remarks. So I'm Jewish. I chair an investment bank called East Wind Advisors. I am trustee of the Berry Foundation, and recently I was stupid enough to accept the chairmanship of IDB in New York. So I'm involved in a variety of ways in Israel. But what I wanted to say, I mean, Moshe asked me to say a few words a few minutes ago. Berry has been invested in the Haredi employment issue for a few years. I have to say, by the way, we're invested in Haredi employment issues and Arab employment issues. The two groups constitute about a third of the country. They're way underrepresented. And so when we did a little bit of work on what these communities were all about, we talked to Yedidya Stern over at IDI, who was very helpful to us, particularly on the Haredi population. And it became clear to us that for Israel's sake, forget about individuals or communities, if you don't bring these two sectors into the workforce, the country is just not going to have a chance. And if you do, you can really goose up the growth of the economy, and more importantly, you can make the place a more habitable place for all of its inhabitants. So we decided to put some money behind this thought, and we have invested with Moshe at Kamatech. I think you originally were introduced to me by Yossi Vardi, who was probably the last guy I thought would walk into my office, the Haredi guy, to tell me I should invest in him. But we met through Moshe and Sari Roth and a bunch of phenomenal people, a whole segment of Israeli society, frankly, we never knew existed. And it gave us a lot of hope, and it gave us the opportunity to put our money where our mouth is and bet that more of the Haredi population, with assistance monetarily and mentorship, would start moving into the economy. And they would be role models, more importantly, for their communities, and would bring many more people with them. And that started to happen. You'll see some examples today of this, but there are so many more. On the Arab side, by the way, because I don't want to forget it while I'm up here, we've also worked in supporting organizations that are doing exactly the same work on the Arab side. And I'm particularly proud of the fact that about 9 months ago, I think, we announced a program along with the Singer Foundation with President Rivlin, where we sat down with Mobileye for almost a year, and realizing the enormous increase they needed in engineering staff as a result of the Intel acquisition and the fact that technology would report into Jerusalem, and the fact that, A, it was hard to get this kind of increased staff anywhere in Israel, but we also felt it was a unique opportunity to go to Amnon Shashua and say to him, look, we'll train 250, I think, of these people. You give us a senior person that can work with us so they can tell us what we need to train them in. You guarantee you'll hire them, and the only condition we have is they'll come strictly from the Arab and Haredi community. And I think it's a very good role model for other companies, hopefully, to follow. So I guess my message is, for the sake of the State of Israel, for the sake of the harmony of the State of Israel, for the sake of the economy of the State of Israel, all of you guys have connections inside different companies. Use those connections to convince the senior people that this has to happen. There is, by the way, a real social barrier, probably more difficult for Haredim than Arabs, and people in companies not feeling comfortable accepting Haredim in the workforce. They have visions of their work habits and their hygienic habits and their religious habits, and a lot of work has to be done in this area, and we have also been involved with an organization that works with CEOs who make commitments to change this. So I encourage all of you to, in your own way, push companies to do this, and you'll be benefiting the Haredi community, and you'll be benefiting the State of Israel. Thank you.